We're joined now by Chief Tom Jenkins, the IAFC president, and I want to get right into the I in IAFC, the impressive international presence that you've been able to accomplish in this great organization. You've made some changes and you've really obtained some goals when it comes to that.
Well, we were fortunate to build on a program that was started just a couple of years ago with Saudi Aramco, a Saudi Arabian-based company, and thanks to that relationship, we've been able to really emphasize the I in the IAFC. And so we hosted our first international conference in the Kingdom of Bahrain this year. And it wasn't just Bahrain, it was Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and several other Gulf region countries that attended, along with around 30 or so representatives from the United States. So yes, international emphasis is something that we'll continue to build on in the years to come, no doubt, but a lot of success this year, reaching out and connecting our members with members literally on the other side of the world.
Really transferring the training here in North America to other parts of the world.
Absolutely, and there's a lot to learn. That fire doesn't burn any differently there than it does here.
Right.
And so when you look at how we solve risk and how we deploy resource, it was a wonderful opportunity and will continue to be for our association to grow and to become more effective. It's, I think, just the beginning of what will be an international influence for years to come.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. I know you're writing a new strategic plan by bringing together a lot of leaders, 100 IAFC leaders.
Well, we do our strategic plan every few years, much like any other organization, to make sure we know where we're going and we know what's important to us, what our values are, and where we're going to emphasize and apply our resources. What made this strategic plan a little different was we went through some struggles, some very tough conversations over the last several years with Chief Kerr and Chief Sinclair when they were president to try and review our governance model. That the association is a federated model. There's a lot of moving pieces and there's a lot of people that contribute, and we had to make sure that we were set up correctly and that we weren't just doing things within the IAFC just because that's the way we've always done them.
Right.
And so that strategic planning process was really the fruit of a lot of those conversations, that not only did we review and apply our strategic plan, but we also had those conversations with representatives from all the sections, the divisions, and even two new groups that were formed, the Diversity Executive Leadership Program, which brings together people from some of the underrepresented groups within our association and our profession, and also the Women's Fire Chief Council. And so it was an important step forward for our association to bring those people into the conversation and to make sure that we're heading in the right direction and do those minor course corrections along the way. We did that in Leesburg, and it was, I think everybody walked away with a little bit of a charged battery.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you brought up the women's side of it. Not a lot of representation, but it's changing, and to hear about that, especially here at the conference, the contingency of really the makeup of what you expect in fire departments and fire stations across the country, you're seeing some changes out there.
Absolutely. It's while traditionally the job of a firefighter and a fire chief, I guess by virtue of that, was really something that you saw white males.
Right.
That is more and more becoming less of a thing. We find that women fire chiefs are becoming much more common, and it's an emphasis that we want to make sure that we give all fire chiefs, regardless of gender or anything. We want to make sure we give them the tools to be successful, but at the same time, there may be some unique challenges for them. And so I was proud of what I've been able to see over the last few years with Chief Kerr when she was elected president of this association. That was a significant achievement.
Sure. To
see the first woman fire chief elected president, but also when Chief Sinclair created that council, that we now have the foresight to gather those people, to allow them to converse, solve some problems, and help us grow as an association.
Yeah, and speaking of growth, we talked about that, but you guys have had so much growth. We have, what, 12,000 plus members, and that's over the past 2 to 3 years, which is really great. But you have had to find some new headquarters in Northern Virginia. Tell me about that.
Well, the IAFC is not just a member association, it also has a lot of business function. And so that new space for us will give us the ability to grow and expand and just allow our staff to be more effective we were able to cut the ribbon on that new building, as a matter of fact, when we were doing our new strategic plan that you mentioned earlier. So we're all excited to see the new workspace.
Yeah, and you also, a part of all of this is being an advocate for fire and emergency services, which is a very integral part of this. I want you to tell me about the organization's legislative accomplishments.
This has been a big year for us. We're always good advocates for legislation that makes fire and emergency medical services more effective and safe. We were able to see programs involving tax credits move forward, sprinkler incentives for building sprinkler protection into structures. We also saw the reauthorization of our Assistance to Firefighters grant, our SAFER grants, and just recently our firefighter cancer registry bill. And so while we've had a lot of work to do this year, we've seen an overwhelming amount of success on the legislative front. And so it goes to show to our members that our activities on Capitol Hill make a difference.
Yeah, I'm sure they like to see that.
Absolutely, I do too.
Now, this is the last major event of your term, coming to an end. And this week, what are some of your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, for me, this is it's a bit of an overwhelming week because it's been a tenure that flew by, serving as vice president and as president. But this, to me, is just it's a gathering of friends. This is an opportunity for me to not only kind of sharpen my own knife and make sure that I'm doing the things I need to do as a fire chief to be effective back home, but it's always inspiring to me to listen and communicate with the other leaders and members within this association. It's a fun week. At the same time, it's an overwhelming week, so it'll be great.
Wraps up a lot of hard work. We want to congratulate you,
Thank you
for your year as IAFC president, Chief Tom Jenkins. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely.
It was
Thank
great
you.
to talk to you.